themselves, take a couple minutes to say why they're running for office, and then begin with the questions that the political action team has prepared, and we will alternate one candidate answering each question first. So with that, we'll start out with our challenger, Brad May.
Thank you, Patrick. My name is Brad May. I am a master's level social worker, mental health therapist with works in Katy. 52 years old, father of 4, and I live here in Federal here for 4 years. I've lived in Michigan my whole life, run a small business for the last 20 years, and I went to college with 0 credits at the age of 43 because I wanted to become a therapist and a social worker and try to make a difference. But towards the end of my time in grad school, I started volunteering for an organization called UFAM. We were working with legislators in Lansing to try and bring awareness to the lack of mental health treatment availability in Michigan and reduce the stigma for substance abuse treatment. Every time we would go to Lansing and set up our big thing at the base of the Capitol in Vermont, none of the legislators were coming out to talk to us. The second year we were there, 2 people came out of all the people that worked to make our lives better here in Michigan. And I came to the conclusion, if I was ever going to change things, I needed to get to that position, change things from within. So my daughter and my family and I made the decision to run for the State House of Representatives in this district, knowing what that challenge was going to look like. The district is conservative, but also knowing that we're not happy with the things are being run. We're not happy with the state taking care of us. So I'm excited it was time to try to flip this seat and make a difference. Brad?
Hi, my name is Mike Mueller. I'm your current state representative that's serving in my first term. The reason why I got involved in politics is that I was not a politician before now I labeled one, is I wanted to make a difference as well. I was a deputy for 19 years. I saw how some of the laws that we enforce treat people unfairly, and I wanted to make sure that I could have a voice to help people that get caught up in the criminal justice system. I was born and raised here in Linden. I graduated from Linden High School in 1992. I played junior hockey before I decided to go into the U.S. Navy and served in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. And after I got in the Navy, I went to Eastern Michigan University, where I got a degree in criminology, sociology, and anthropology. I got a degree in criminology from the Department of Criminology, Sociology. I graduated with honors from Eastern Michigan University, and then I went to Washington County Police Academy, where I graduated in the top 3 of my class. I was also awarded the outstanding designation for my class. I graduated from the Academy in 1999, and I was a substitute teacher at Linden for a few months. I had graduated until I was hired by Washington County Sheriff. I was a sheriff's deputy there for almost 6 years, working in townships of Scioto Township, Swaney Township, Superior Township, North Township. And I was a member of the SWAT team, and I was also part of the officers from Michigan that went down to Hurricane Katrina to get relief during the hurricane. Our family owns Mueller's Orchard in Sutterville and Linden. My grandfather started that in 1931, and upon his death in 2005, I decided I wanted to help out with the orchard, so I resigned from Washington County Sheriff to Livingston County Sheriff, where I served there from 2006 till 2019 before we elected. I was at Livingston County Sheriff, primarily Tyrone Township, was deputy of the year 2016, and I was also a member of the detective team there as well. The reason why I want to run is I believe that my experience in police work, where you have to listen to both sides of the story, where you make a decision is critical, and that's key. And passing legislation and getting along, because we all go there with a sense of pride once we're elected. We quickly find out that we have different opinions. That's how you treat people, how you communicate with people, build a relationship so you know the person regardless of the policy. So Governor's Task Force on Pretrial Incarceration. Chief Justice McCormick and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist were the chairs of that committee, was able to develop a relationship with Chief Justice McCormick during this time has been critical in working across the aisle with my colleagues on criminal justice reform. So I just want to continue that. I've also secured $1 million for mental health treatment for first responders, because if a first responder does not have ability to seek help or fear or retaliation for doing the job, they need to be able to have a place to go to talk about their problems. And my experience, I was involved in an officer involved shooting in 2009. And so I've been down that road, and more officers kill themselves a year and die in the line of duty. And so again, working with all branches of the government, secured $2 million for that, and to expand that out to our mental health treatment for the entire community.
Okay, our first question for the night, Sir Brad. What is your top legislative priority for the state in the next 2 years?
My top legislative priority for the state for the next 2 years is to further the legislation that's already started, House Bill 5508, make sure that we expand coverage for mental health treatment, expand the people who can bill Medicare and private insurance for so that we can make sure that anybody who's help can.
Oh, and we were able to make sure that our budget this fiscal year was complete. Now it's using federal dollars coming through federal government to make sure that our schools and our local communities are taken care of. We have $15.5 billion that we've allocated to schools, and we are also making sure that government revenue sharing is taken care of for this year. However, that money is going to come to an end, and we need to make sure that we open our state's businesses safely. We have to get people back to work. We have to get our businesses open. And without the tax revenue, we can't do anything to help these projects that we want to be able to do it. Don't open up our economy, make sure that it's safe for everybody to get back to work. So our businesses that have been hurt during this pandemic, that we are able to reopen, serve the community, and create more of a tax base. That was a severe shortage. It's still here, and that's our priority, is to make sure that the state has enough money.
Question number 2. How do you propose we pay road improvements? Do you support a gas tax increase in registration fees, toll roads, or any other piece of funding?
Well, with people have brought up toll roads. The thing is when you get there, nice, you gotta learn how things work. You can't. The roads, we're not a passive state, so we're a peninsula state, so it's hard for cars to come through. You're coming to Michigan, you're coming to Michigan, so you're not passing through, and so you also lose your federal funding for toll roads. So there was a bill that came out to study toll roads, and I voted against it simply for the fact that I didn't think the money needed to go to the study when it's actually going to be hurtful for most of the state and beneficial. I mean, if you want to have toll roads, you can do that for urban areas. But the other thing is Governor bonded to fix the roads. So I'm definitely against the tax increase on that, but she did it on herself to bond for that. But I do have legislation that changes around the way that the P51 monies are distributed to the locals. And you have to remember with the bond that she had done, none of that money goes to local roads. It goes to state trunk lines. So in the 51st district, they're going to redo part of Corona Road. And that was it. And so the local roads, when you travel to the elementary schools and to the post office, they're not going to be funded by any of this money that she bonded. It's all going to go to state roads and freeways. So the bill that I have changes around the formula of PA 51 so that more of the locals will get money from the top. And I quite frankly think we have enough money there to fix roads as long as it's done proper ways.
I think Representative Muller brings up a good point. Learned a lot when we got there, and that's all stuff that I learned yet. I'll say this though, I can think of a couple great areas to get money from. Marijuana taxes would be one of them. But the fact is, and I know this isn't going to be popular, so I don't go to super high priority. I know that people have ran on fix the roads for years, but right now with pandemic, all the other issues we have recognition, and people can live with a few more potholes for a few years. I think we should be putting our money into schools. We should be putting our money into infrastructure so that we can prepare for better handling the pandemic as it is in place now, and make sure that we're ready to rock and roll if this ever happens. Again, if the decision were up to me, I wouldn't do anyone right now other than what's already budgeted.
Should the state minimum wage increase so to
Yes, thank you. The state minimum should be reduced to $15 an hour. There's a couple different feasible plans to get that done. You know, when I was in college and I took economics, my economics professor was a brilliant economist, and the first thing I did when he brought it up was try to argue against economics. I didn't want to pay $10 for the and he very eloquently spent the next 2 hours changing the course of that class to explain to all of us how trickle down isn't working. We need to concentrate on trickle down. We need to pay everybody a living wage. And I wish Mr. Cousins was here right now to speak for me. Since he's not, I'll tell you what I've learned so far. That is that I went to college for 7 years, myself $100,000 in debt to make $45,000 a year. I can't do my on $45,000 a year, I can't check to check. That equates to about $22.80. So I find it impossible today's day and age with cost of living to survive on it.
No, I don't think that increasing the minimum wage is the answer. That would be detrimental to a lot of our small businesses and the costs that it put on the consumer. Minimum wage jobs, in my opinion, are jobs that are jobs to get somebody started working, learning work ethic, and they're not made to be a career. So to me, increasing minimum wage would have effect on our small businesses that, but I think that people need to be able to, they can work at these jobs, but they're not meant to be a career. So just to get somebody, from high school, to get money towards, paying for their gas, their own insurance, rent, and then, they need to broaden their horizons. They need to find a career path, and especially today with all the skilled trades out there, you make a lot of money. You read a carpenter square, learn how to use a chop saw, and use, your hands to do that. And a lot of those jobs pay much more than $15 an hour. But I don't think that a low-skilled job or seasonal workers making $15 an hour is the answer. Because the thing is if your economy is doing well, then the employer will pay their person more than what the minimum wage is. We have an apple orchard; it's seasonal, and we pay higher than minimum wage because we feel that's important. But I don't think it should be something at a higher level.
Thank you. Our next question, as a legislator, are you concerned about your ability to fulfill your constitutional role under the ongoing state of emergency?
Well, it's very frustrating. When the COVID first hit, it was unknown, and I sit on health policy committee, and they were talking about the cases that we had in Michigan, and it started to spread severely. So, at the beginning of this, I think the governor did what she was supposed to do and did a good job of keeping people safe. However, as time goes on, I don't don't think the legislature of 1976, when they passed that Emergency Management Act, was really thinking that they would want a governor, regardless of what political party you come from, to rule unilaterally. So the 1945 and the 1976 law kind of, they're different in the sense that if you have flooding in a different area, you need to be able to have executive orders to do things, but the interpretation of it, I don't agree with, because there's not any reason why one person in our state should be making decisions for everybody, and that's why we have a legislature. You have 110 representatives that represent 100,000 people. We are the closest person to state government that our citizens have. We are continuing to pass legislation, but the thing is everything, we have over 160 some executive orders that have been put down. And I just don't think it's what our Constitution, what our founding fathers believed in when they did that. And again, the legislature of 1976, by no means would they give unilateral control to one person for all the time that we passed. She just extended it to the beginning of October. So when COVID started in March, all the way through October, our state has been run by one person, and it's not how our system works.
We've asked the question as a legislator, Patrick, and I'm not a legislator, I'm a citizen. And as a citizen, I stand in the majority, 60% of the citizens in Michigan that stand behind the governor, that stand behind everything she's done. Right now, Representative Mueller, as much as I respect his ability to look at both sides of this argument, is not listening to the people. He's listening to the Republican Party and towing the money. People are making themselves perfectly clear, and they have for months. Every poll submitted, that is 60% Michiganders agree with the governor, 60% of the Michiganders do not agree with the Unlocked Michigan Movement. I'm one of those 60%. I don't agree with every decision she's made. I also don't have to sit in her seat and manage her job and feel responsible for the 7,000 deaths in Michigan so far. So I believe Governor Brewer's done a great job. If elected, I'll do whatever it takes to support her in her efforts to continue keeping this.
Next question, do you support the bill listing what businesses are deemed essential?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Patrick. I was considering the answer. I support a bill listing which businesses would be considered essential. I mean, you asked if I would support a bill. It's a very generic question. I'm not trying to. It sounds like a great idea. Then I have 20 questions that come up after. Who decides which businesses are in charge? So I love the idea that, and again, going to this point, I don't necessarily think one person in charge of everything. That's what a relationship is for. It scares me at the same time, because right now we have a legislature. Republicans are largely driven by the corporations and sponsors. I want to make sure that the small businesses, that people in the state are also heard. I know that's not an answer. I'd like to give people an answer, but I would.
I don't really think it's necessary to have a bill, because in my opinion, I think all businesses are essential because they're people's life. And so you can't put the gun to the table because your business is closed due to executive order that are sometimes very ambiguous. We saw that with landscaping spring, where landscapers were allowed to deliver mulch to your house while you were sitting at home where they wouldn't have contact. So, I don't think a bill is necessary for that. I would hope that we can open up safely and responsibly. I think people have the right to make their choices whether or not they comfortable going to a certain business. And there's no need for legislation, except all businesses are essential in the way that it works in the public. They're essential, and they're essential for their families, because without them being able to have a job, businesses being closed down. It's in a very tough situation, and I tell you, we've had 2,400 claims come into my office alone. And I've had to call the police at 2 different jurisdictions on cases that welfare checks on people because emails that we have gotten, they're coming to the end of the line, they don't know where to turn. And it's frustrating as a legislator when offices are closed, and people haven't gotten their checks for weeks, and you hear the frustration, phone calls, emails. So I think that at this current time, I think, can make a plan to open safely and have a mixed choice.
What are your thoughts regarding proposal 2 on ballot this November regarding search and seizure of electronic?
I will support that because I believe that that's part of the constitutional thing where we have still legal search and seizure. Police officer for 19 years. I want to make sure people are held accountable, but I also want to make sure that your rights are upheld constitutionally. And for a police officer to be able to go into the phone without a search warrant to be a violation of your rights, and I would support that.
I agree with Representative Muller. Continue to increase training for our police officers to make sure they're staying in their lane, so to speak. Make sure that people's rights are. So we're on the same page.
Okay. We now have a couple of questions so far that have been submitted. When we got more coming. The first I have for you is with regard to Michigan. What's your position on Michigan right to work state? That's
I don't have a problem with employees choosing to opt out of unions. I'm not a fan of right to work. I believe that the right to work legislation was put in the 80s was really set up as a union. I think we need to strengthen employees' ability to bargain for better wages, health benefits, safe working conditions. I think about teachers in this case, because right now, public school teachers are definitely essential workers. They're the people I think of the most because they're trying to make sure that they have the resources they need to take care of our kids, which is the most valuable resource. Because of legislation I don't agree with, largely revolving around right to work, they don't have to strike with them. It's the job. It's questionable whether they can enter into collective bargaining. So I think we could do a better job.
I believe that every employer and every person that's working should have the right to opt out of their union. I was in the police officers union, so it's different with police because you have different type of environment that you're making split-second decisions that can be played out in the court for months to years. Am I a big fan of right to work? I support right to work because I believe people should have that choice. One hang up I do have with it is that you should still have to pay a certain amount of money to the union for the bargaining aspect, because you can't expect every member of GM to be able to go in and every teacher to be able to go in and negotiate a contract. It's just not, it's not good. When the courts have upheld it, you can't do that. So this will be something that, if it comes up, I'll have to really look into it because, like I said, you support the right to opt out, but also I disagree with the fact that if you opt out, you didn't see benefits.
where do you stand? Where do you stand with regard to funding the police for institutions?
Well, part of the budget that was a bipartisan budget that the governor so far has said she would sign, to allocate more money for state troopers and to make sure that our secondary road patrols, sheriff's departments are funded. I believe that funding of the police is important. They're the frontline people to preserving order in our community, and without that, see higher crime rates, businesses getting broken into. You're waiting, in Flint, you're waiting for hours for an assault call. You don't have enough money to pay their officers and to hire their officers. So we need to make sure that our police are funded well. We have to make sure that they're trained well, because you have a good trained officer that's well trained, then you're going to be able to reduce the risk of civil liabilities. Municipalities be able to de-escalate the situation before it has to turn into a situation where force has to be used. But they have to, excuse me, they have to have the proper tools in order to do that.
I wish when they started talking about defunding the police, they'd call it something else. So I believe that the funds need to be allocated. We need to be smarter about this. Representative Muller makes a great point about Flint. We're sitting here in Fenton, and there's 7 towers behind a room full of AR-15s inside. But frankly, this is Fenton. Our teachers are underpaid. Our police department is overfunded. So I don't know how I would rename the bill, but I think we can take a closer look at how each community spreads their money out. Michigan Republican Party right now has 6 or 7 different goals on the floor, going after LCAA Act 1984 that continue to write legislation and take local funds and move them around and use them for what they want instead of what they were intended for, which was schools and municipalities to make sure they had these players. So I don't necessarily want to defund the police. I want to take a closer look at how much money we're spending. So on a micro level here in Fenton, and before I say this, I should probably start driving a different vehicle or something. The city of Fenton spent $144,000 last year just to maintain their building. And I've been in the building. It doesn't cost $140,000. Bought them a brand new Equinox to run documents back. Made sure that all their vehicles were in. Budgeted $2.4 million. I think we could have done a better job. Could have moved that around. Honestly, we could have taken better care of our firefighters, taken better care of our school system. We could use it in a smarter way.
We have one more question. This is the last question. It's with regard to a resolution for a state prayer. Sir.
I'm not, but I'll address any questions you want to ask me.
No, there was a resolution by Representative Riley, who represents first. Representative Riley, this was something that's close to me. It's a very conservative member of our legislature, very nice man. And during this pandemic, we've seen a lot of ugliness from a lot of people. In fact, you're conservative that to make sure that we have God in our lives and are able to come together instead of fighting. So it was not put up for votes. It was called wasteful, say yay or nay.
Sure. So to start off with, I'm a Christian. I attended Spring Arbor University for all 7 years of my college. Spring Arbor, we're taught the Spring Arbor concept, which is to carry the Christian concept throughout everything we do in life. That being said, I think we're getting perilously close to rewriting the Constitution of this country. I think we continue to mix church and state at the level that it's getting scary. Right up to current events with the current nomination of the Supreme Court. Highly conservative. Our fear, as speaking for Democrats, is that we continue to put people in power in this state and this country that churches teach next, and others protections. So I definitely love the idea. Got on my knees and prayed this morning like I do every day. I prayed as I was walking up here. But I'm going to continue to keep that part of my personal life, and I'm going to continue to advocate to separate government and church and separate those kind of days to outside of what reality.
I think that brings us to the end of our questions for the night. So I'd like to thank the candidates for their time and have attended, and I'd like to bring Shelley back up.
Do you want him to do closing remarks?
I'd like to bring Shelley back up so that she can, would you like to have a closing remark?
I have a question. I would like to know, given that people want to know more about us, I would like to know, A, if you're willing to tell the voters who you're going to vote for president. B, more importantly to me personally, I would like to know how you feel about President making comments calling veterans suckers and losers when they lose their lives in the military, and then continuing to support the Republican Party, because that bothers me. Right now, I personally can't vote for anybody who doesn't stand up to this president and this administration. Very curious to see what you stand up.
Well, first of all, that was debunked as not accurate. I call them losers. Of course, I'm going to support my president in the military for 4 years. May not like the actions that the man does, may not like his tone, may not like how he carries himself, but I agree with some of the policy, and I'll tell you this right now. I turned off the debates because I thought both sides were arguing, and it was an embarrassment to our country that was going to be our leaders, right? But I do agree with his policy. I agree with the man he's through with what he said he's going to do. He's done that. So of course I'm going to be voting for President Trump.
Thank you for answering the question.
Okay. So on behalf of the chamber, I'd like to thank both being here this evening. And we apologize for the technical difficulties. We understand that when we began the program, we were muted. So people were not able to hear me. They were able to hear Patrick when he started asking questions. So I'm just going to real quick thank our members of the political action team tonight. Our chairman, Patrick Welty of Legacy Realty Professionals, Dr. Leon Ingham from a Clinton optometrist, and then also some of our board members, our chairman of the board, Ed Calito of Southern Lakes Parks and Recreation and the Clinton and Community Cultural Center, board members Will Stiverson and then Don Placek was not able to make it tonight, but we thank all of you for helping us out. We also wanted to apologize. We had 2 candidates that will be on the ballot that submitted videos for us. We were unable to show those tonight, but they will be included on our website. And when we send out our Facebook post, we've recorded this. So please visit our website to view the full program tomorrow. And I want to remind everyone that we will be doing an event So Good It's Scary through the chamber. So trick-or-treating at the businesses will be happening on October 30th. So if you have any questions, contact the chamber for that. Thank you again for joining us, and please call the chamber with any questions and needs that you might have.
Hi, I'm Danielle Kusan, and I'm running for re-election as the mayor of Linden. I live in Linden with my husband Dan and our children. I have been serving the people of Linden since 2007 when I was first elected to City Council, and have been the mayor since 2016. I am also an assistant prosecuting attorney in Livingston County. As the mayor, I have worked to improve the relationship between our businesses and city. While serving on our Downtown Development Authority board, I helped to create the business liaison position. I have also worked to increase the number of volunteers we have in the city and make sure that those serving on our boards and commissions have the knowledge and training they need and are qualified for those boards. I have served on these boards myself, including our Parks and Recreation, Downtown Development, the Library Board, and the Historic District Commission. I am also the Vice Chair of the Small Cities of Genesee County. This organization helps small cities learn from each other and work together to have a better community. During my time as mayor, I have also met with the DEQ, now Eagle, to help deal with some of the contamination issues in Linden. One of those projects has been demolished and is now a green space, and the other is in the process of remediation. I also worked with a committee to help Dr. Wax find incentives so that she could build on the vacant Union Block property. The city is currently engaged in the redevelopment ready community project, and we are working to make this a great place for people. I ask that you vote for me, Danielle Kusan, for mayor. Thank you.
My name is Stephen Sanford. I'm the Republican nominee for Genesee County Sheriff. I have a lot of plans that I'd like to bring to the Sheriff's Office. I have a lot of ideas that I'd like to bring to the Sheriff's Office, but we only have 2 minutes, so I'll make this quick. For the last decade, the Flint Police Department has been very understaffed and is not being deterred or investigated by the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office does not participate currently in the Michigan State Police Flint City Police Department Major Case Unit. You might not see those crimes in Fenton, you might not see the blood on your sidewalks and your driveways, but it does affect you. In 2010, the Iowa State University criminology professor Matt Dillies concluded a study which found that each homicide costs the community $17.25 million. By June of this year, the murder rate in Genesee County has cost this community, and will continue to cost this community, over $500 million. We can't afford a sheriff's department that does not investigate murders. I have a lot of other plans, but I don't have time to talk about them. You can find me Sanford for Sheriff on Facebook, or send me an email. I answer all of them. electstevesanford@gmail.com. Thank you, and thank you for your support.